Hello model car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and today I'm going to feature one of my very old builds here. You're looking at a MPC 71 Superbird, which it's also part of this. Here's a kit here, this 71 Roadrunner. So there's the vintage kit. And I say vintage kit because this kit was last issued in 1987. Well, that's the copyright date on this box. But this one, this build here, I built it when it was new. I mean, I remember going to the store with my mom and dad and buying the kit. And I believe it was actually Kmart buying the kit. But I remember, getting them to buy it, and I couldn't decide. But I saw this car on the cover, and I'm like, that's awesome. I've never seen anything like that before. And I was, I think, 14 at the time. 14 or 15. I think it was 14. And I'm like, that's awesome. I gotta build that. And so this is what I built. And really haven't done anything to it since then. I've had it all these years. It's not in my display case anymore, because there are times I itch to rebuild it and want to do a better job, but there are many times where I just, like right now, I pull it out and I just look at it and just admire, what I did back then, and enjoy it. And I believe it's also, it's one of the first ones I remember airbrushing with my single stage Badger 350, which I still have. I haven't used it in 20 years, but I still have it. And it's just plain old orange. Nothing to brag about there. No clear coat, and you can see I didn't even really do the sanding on the body lines. I just painted it. You can see some of the dimples in the roof there from the glue. A little too much glue, but I was getting a little bit better about gluing. And then the glass is starting to get some fading and etching in it. You can kind of see, and I think that's glue as well. Just a lot of spider cracks in it. But and at some point in time, I had switched out the wheels and tires for one from a Revell or Monogram kit. I think they came right off of the Challenger TA kit, because I built one of those, and it ended up getting torn apart for parts or whatever. I think I played with it and broke it. And for some reason, this one, I always really liked it, and I really didn't do much to it, even though I did the orange interior, and all the interior is brush painted. And I think even the underside, that may be sprayed. But you can see all the exhaust is brush painted. Not a whole lot of detail in there. Then put a license plate on it, painted the tail lights. And just silver paint. There's no bare metal foil, that's just silver paint. But I always thought this was cool, and I really enjoyed it. The glue is on there a little bit heavy, so some of these parts I don't think are going to come off easily if I did restore it. But and I've itched a couple of times to restore it, which is why I have this right here. This is an unbuilt kit, and so when the opportunity came up to get one of these, I ended up getting one. And it was, a trip down memory lane, because I still want to build either a 71 Roadrunner or a stock one. Even though now I have an annual rebuilder as well as this one. I'll show you what's in the box, because this one's pretty much a mint kit. And but onto this one. And Plymouth didn't make a Superbird in 71. They had some concepts too. Now the decals are starting to. There's really not much holding that decal. It's going to come off, and that's not glued. It falls right out. And I don't have the piece that held it. It was on there. I lost it somewhere along the line. And I built it with a 446 pack. All that stuff's in the kit, so you can't really return one of these back to stock, because there's a piece in here that you cut out of the body of the actual valance panel when you glue this on. So if you've ever built this kit, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not even sure you really have to cut it out. I think it tells you to do it, but I don't think you really have to, but I did. And then if you can see into the interior, the orange seats, and I actually did paint the headliner in this one. Okay. Didn't paint the, you can see the white frosting of the glue in the glass. But there she is. But definitely one of my oldest kits. So I started thinking about that. That was 33 years ago. 33, 34 years ago. It's amazing that I even still have it. Most of the models back then I played with and destroyed. Chassis loose. I could probably easily take this apart if I wanted to. But I've resisted the urge to rebuild it, fix the roof, and foil the windows. A lot of my old builds that were silver painted, a lot of them got torn apart, repainted, polished, and bare metal foil put on them. And I'll tell you about all of those. And if I got pictures of when they were back then. The only thing I did to this one is swapped out the wheels for the monogram wheels because they just look beefier and meatier, and I like the way they look over these. So I swapped them out somewhere along the line. But it wasn't too long after it was built. But if you want to, take a look at what's in this kit, and when I say it's pretty much a mint kit, I mean it. Open the bag and look at a few things and reflect. And I don't know why this kit's never been reissued. It's a great kit. Yeah, because I cut this out to put the nose cone on, and this has all of those parts. It still has that molded to it. So I mean, I've got this one, and there's the nose cone piece and the hood and the wing and the rest of the parts. They're all there. And there's the chrome stuff still in the bag. And I bagged the wheels and the tires, I should say. I don't want them to melt on anything. And then taillights are still in here. And then the old directions. And even the decals where they gave you two sheets, the race ones and the stock ones in both colors. These may still be usable. I'm not even sure. I'll end up doing Keith Mark's decals, I'm sure. Because when they start to get this old, I kind of don't trust them. Especially the white ones. They're a little more yellow, but all this stuff's in here. But that's pretty cool to see. Show you this stuff and see what you think of it. And the resin parts, you're wondering, I pulled them off to the side here. These are from Hearts Parts resin. I was going to do this one as a 71 Roadrunner, but he offers the 71 GTX parts. So here's the resin copy of the 71 GTX hood, which has 440 molded into it, and it has these ribs in it. And it's got these really oversized hood pins, but they're molded in there. So if you can see that or not. I think you can. If you can see the hood pins. And then also the actual GTX grill. This is also resin from Hearts Parts. So a few years back I had picked these up when I saw he was offering these. And so that's what my plan is eventually with this one, is build it into 71 GTX. So that's why those parts are in there. And then one of the last things, this is from Greg Wan. He also cast these, and I don't know why he chose yellow. Oops, they're upside down actually. Yeah, here we go. If you can see them, they're very tiny. But he recently started doing these. They're off of a die cast, but he cast the grill with the bird in it, so you can add the bird to any of the model kits that didn't have the bird. I don't know if it's focusing on that. It's really, really hard to look. So I got a couple of grills from him. So if you're interested in those, contact Greg Wan. Also goes by the Master Caster. I'll put his email address in a link below, actually. And same thing for Hearts Parts Resin. Since I mentioned both of them, I'll put a link below in the description for both of their websites, website or email address, because I don't think Greg has a website. But I just figured I would show off the vintage build here and get your thoughts on it, and You know, how many of you kept a model this long? I'm sure some of you have. I'm not the only one, but it just brings back a lot of memories of you know, the kits I built back then, and you know, ones I've blown up and some of that stuff. But this one stayed with me, even though at one time I built the AMT Daytona, which took a lot of putty on the front. I built that one. My 70 monogram Superbird, the blue one, actually showed, there's a video of that one, the build from back then, and a new build of it. So I've got two of those, but my original and the rebuild. Here's my 71 Superbird. The green 69 Daytona, the AMT one, if you get that kit, it's a horrible kit. The Revell Monogram 69 Daytona is so much better. But you know, not to bash one kit over the other. But I had that kit, I built it, but at the time it was the only 69 Daytona, and it was that or nothing, and it came out okay. And I don't remember what, oh actually I do remember what happened to it. I was thinking about restoring it. I ended up using the chassis and the interior tub on something else. I ended up tearing it apart for parts. So that was one that got chopped up for a rebuild of some kind. But I'm not even sure if I remember which kit it is that got the parts at this point. But I figured I would show you this one and get your opinions on it, and what your thoughts are. And it's really a decent kit, really, this MPC kit. I don't know why it's never been re-released. I'd love to see it re-released. But and if you guys know why it hasn't been re-released, please chime in and comment. I'd love to hear it. But thank you for subscribing and hitting that bell button. Thanks for, you know, tuning in. And you guys, you have a wonderful day.